Hi, Rich Smith with Mustangs to Fear here. Today we're going to be showing you how to install one of our ABS plastic headliners, and who will be helping me will be Mark. Now we're going to show you what we've done on this. This is a one-piece. You don't have to remove the windshield or back glass to install it. It will gain you 2.5 inches of headroom, and you don't have to paint it or upholster it. It has a grain and texture that looks just like Naugahyde. You really can't tell the difference between this and something that's vinyl covered. Now, we have these holes pre-drilled in here. This is something we're probably not going to do. We found there was some variation from one Mustang to another, and the reason being is because when they were doing a vinyl headliner, they could simply just poke a hole with a scratch awl and put it where they needed to be. Now, when you're using two hard surfaces, they have to match up perfectly. So what we're going to wind up doing probably is just have the larger hole, which will be a dimple. And we will take out these 3 holes right here. That way everything will line up for you. And that's the simplest way to do that. The rest of the holes will be fine. Those are pilot holes to line everything up. This has a return flange on it. This is where your windlace is going to pinch onto it. This is where your windshield gasket is going to go on the edge. We've got this thing set up to where you can put it in through the doors if you have to, because it will fold. Or if you do have the windshield or back glass out, you can simply just slip it in through the front. So that's what we're going to do right now. Now we're going to put it in. The windshield's already out of this, so obviously it's going to be a little easier, so we're just going to put it in this way. But if you wanted to go through the door, it'll fit through the door very easily. This is very flexible. He'll hold that, and I'll show you this will bend, and you can just roll it right in there. So you could go through the door, don't have to take the windshield back glass out, it'll go right in. But since this is out, we're going to do it the easy way. Now you can see this fits right in the opening of the windshield. If the windshield was in there already and you're putting it through the doors, literally all you're going to do is actually just take a rubber hook, and you're just going to hook the edge of that gasket down, and it's going to catch right on the edge and hold that right up. So that's the reason why you don't have to take a windshield or back glass out to put this in. Originally, your Mustangs had a cloth headliner that wrapped around the pinch weld. In order to put one of those in, the windshield always had to come out. But in this case, it just comes right up to the edge, and it lays right in there. Okay, easiest way to do it is probably just go ahead and put some rubber clamps on it just to hold this in place in the front so it doesn't go anywhere, and then we can start working our windlace on. But right now we'll come to the back. We've got 2 pre-drilled holes for you already, so all you're actually going to do is get these started back here in the back. Now these already have holes back here in the back, and that's for the big solid piece that goes back there. So we'll see if we got these lined up fairly close. That's going to hold the back, so that's the reason why we don't have to do anything with the back window of taking it out. So now we're ready to put the windlace in, and the best thing to do that also is with a rubber mallet to punch that in. Now we also make a A-pillar trim that goes down the side of this, and it's the same thing. You'll just take the gasket and pull this back, and that'll cover all this up. Now every one of these Mustangs we're finding there's a little bit of difference in them. When we go to put the C-pillar pods back here, we have enough material on these things to where you can trim the edge of them. We're not going to pre-dimple the holes like we originally were going to for location purposes, because these brackets can be off quite a bit. You can see some of these are twisted. A lot of times you'll see the holes aren't even centered in them. So if we were to pre-dimple these panels to make it easier for you, more than likely these are all going to be off. So it's just going to be a lot easier for you to drill the holes yourself where they need to be. This panel that goes across here, we've found quite a bit of variation within an inch. And usually what you're going to want to do there is, if it is longer, then just simply put a magic marker on there and mark it. Put masking tape on it, and then you can trim it off with a right angle grinder or a cutoff tool. So the plastic is really easy to work with, so you can trim to fit anything that you need. Even if it's on the sides of these C-pillar pods, you can trim all this stuff nice and neat to where you get a perfect fit. Now these are the C-pillar pods that we make. These are now made into one solid piece. We were making them out of fiberglass, and they were just in one piece, but we extended this back So we cleaned it up and took away the line. Now we're still working on the lower section, which is going to be really nice. That's going to have a big pocket that goes back into here about 6 inches, and it'll have an armrest and probably even have a cup holder. Now, back on the headliner, one quick thing is you can see there's a dimple right here. This dimple is for if you're putting your roll bar in or if you had your seat belts in a 67, 68. So that location should be good to go for you right there. If you are using these C-pods, obviously the inner part right in here has to come out. You could still use the fresh air vents, but it depends if you're doing this as an Eleanor or as bone stock. If you're going bone stock, then this section is still going to have to come out of there in order for the speaker to fit in there. Every one of these Mustangs are going to be a little bit different. So there's enough material in these things to where you can fine tune them, and what you're going to probably wind up doing is grinding a couple of them. Not every car is going to be the same. If there's too much material on it, then what you want to look at is where you think you need to grind, and then actually take a piece of masking tape as a nice guide or a magic marker, but I'd still put tape on it, and then take a 50 grit on a right ankle grinder. And this plastic, it cuts very, very easy. And just trim a little bit at a time and keep test fitting it to make sure everything's lining up in your headliner, and then you should be good to go. Then when it comes time to line these holes up, it's just an eyeball thing, so you want to see where your bracket's at, and then just drill a hole, and you should be good to go. Now, this is the centerpiece that actually is going to connect to this, and like I'm saying, every one of these cars is a little bit different, so this thing is pre-loaded, so you don't have to put any screws in the center of it, but we've got screw openings on the ends. These might probably have to be readjusted up in here, but that's not a big deal. This possibly could even be a little bit too long. Better long than short. Same thing. You're going to take masking tape and put it on the edge and just literally grind back, and this way you're going to get a perfect fit. You'll get the same curvature that you need right in here from side to side, and there is a difference. This fatter lip actually goes to the front, and the little skinnier lip goes towards the back. So when it's all said and done, that's pretty much what it's going to look like right there. So, okay, one last thing we're going to show you, and this is on the sun visor bracket. Now, if you're doing a 67, that's all built into the mirror. It's all one piece, and that's still going to mount right up here. If you're doing a 68, it's a different setup. It's just a single bracket because the mirror bracket itself is glued onto the windshield, so that's what makes it different. And there is a spacing difference between a 68 and a 67, so that's the reason why we don't put any dimples or anything up there. Going to be the same thing. You're just going to pull this down. You're going to look where your holes were at, and use that as your reference, and then drill that right up in there, and then you're good to go. That's all there is to it.